in the lead up to the 2023 election, long before there was a Peter Obi, there had been critical in-house brainstorming. And Afenifere had agreed in-house and influenced the Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum to agree that the next president of Nigeria should come from the Southeast. For the simple reason of equity and justice. Not because we really like the idea of zoning, but because that is what Nigeria has become, and the equity of the situation demanded that we should support a candidate of Southeast extraction. So as far back as around 2021, we had begun moves. There was no Peter Obi at this time. I had never met him one-on-one, and I didn't meet him until 2023. No, 2022. I didn't meet him until 2022. So it wasn't like we set out that it must be Peter Obi. We knew we weren't going to support a coup. But we were already convinced that whoever we were supporting would have to be a person of Southeast. I grew up knowing that. I've known it as a knowledge, conscious knowledge, for at least 40 years. So if I have known that for 40 years and I've lamented for 40 years, others have lamented, people like you who should have been offered some directions by my own generation have joined us in the lamentation. That's a tragedy. We must now begin to chart a path out of this tragedy. And I think wherever we are going to stand, we must find a point where we draw the line. And having drawn that line, we must stand behind that line unrepentantly. I believe that the shortest cut to that line should be the electoral reform. If you are truly citizens of any place called a country, and it pretends to be a democracy, the minimum is that you should have a voice in your governance. But me and you know that that is not the truth about our country. Instead of dissipating energy elsewhere, why can't we all, whether you like the government in power today or not, politics is constantly evolving. So,
or should we say in this case it's even...
No, ours hasn't evolved because we haven't played politics. We've been held hostage. Our reality is that we are not citizens. We lie to ourselves. You tell yourself you are a citizen of Nigeria. No, you are not. Citizens are governed by law. And when they are governed by law and they are in a democracy, they should be able to say who should govern them. But in a space where the voice of the man telling Chinedu to stay at home is louder than the voice of those who are looking to exercise their franchise, something must be wrong there, especially when the summoner of Mama Chinedu as a policeman stood right behind him. How do you explain that? So if our votes do not count, that should at least be the point where we begin to demand some equity for ourselves. If it is a company, right? And we are meant to be shareholders in the company, certainly we should be able to
have
vote in the affairs of that company. Those of you who have any knowledge of law, you'll be familiar with the Force and Naboku rule.
He's a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. So at a minimum, even if I'm a minority shareholder in the company, as long as I'm a shareholder, my rights are deserving of protection. But no Nigerian right is protected.
I agree, sir.
So do you, if there are no electoral reforms going forward, because the government in power today doesn't seem to be bothered about it, would you be bothered to be politically active in the next political cycle?
Why should I be waiting for any political situation? If we are all agreed as a collective, if the preponderance of opinions amongst Nigerians mobilized and fully expressed, either by protests, demonstrations, boycotts, if we have adequately transmitted our feelings to those responsible for the reform, and they say no, who is to stop us from expressing our desires?
I agree.
Who is waiting? If you are waiting for 2027 before effecting any change, you've lost 2027 already. These aren't people who care anything. The law does not even matter to them. Nigerians aren't paying attention. You don't have a democracy. Your constitution is useless. That is the reality. If you ever wondered how useless your constitution is, look at Rivers State. That should convince you. Let's forget how, even though it is an imperfect fraud, I have had occasion to speak to the fraudulence of Decree 24 too many times. So I'm not even talking about its legitimacy. But as long as it pretends to be the existing legal order in Nigeria, how do you explain the fact that the man who has been declared the president of Nigeria who swore to uphold that constitution is trampling all over it. One, in removing the democratic structures in Rivers State.
True.
Two, in installing a military dictatorship, because that is exactly what it is in Rivers State.
True.
And almost every institution, quote and unquote, that should have worked to check the desecration of the fraud has stood by, either applauded. Look at what took place in the name of ascension to the state of declaration. Look at what took place. Voice vote.
Yeah.
The Hayes have it.
Yeah.
Where
Hayes
the constitution clearly says that there should be a 2/3, which meant that you should have taken attendance, the roll should have been taken, and then you take proper numbers.
Yes.
Nothing of the sort happened. And in the same chamber where they are busy singing on his mandate, they are standing. They don't care about the constitution. And we're still talking about 2027. They have written that result already. The sooner we all come to the knowledge of the fact that this is not a democracy, you are not citizens. The law does not rule in Nigeria. The sooner we all come to that knowledge, forget all these ethno-religious bickering, the partisan divide, because the same power that Tinubu is using today, somebody else, if it's not changed, somebody else will inherit it tomorrow.
Of course.
And
they will do worse.
Yeah.
Because when Buhari was setting the precedent that this one is following,
we're all looking.
we were all hoping that we would deal with them the way we dealt with Jonathan. But they are the ones who have now become the organs, and they are dealing with each and every one of us. So sooner we come to that knowledge, organize around the need to demand these reforms so that we may at some point be as citizens.
Yeah,
true.
Fair point.
So I think that leads me to my question. I know you. Are you still a lawyer? Before I even go forward,
You can't stop being a lawyer if you have read law.
Okay,
but
so
I do not practice law anymore, and I do not earn my living from the practice of law any longer.
Okay, so
So when you look at the legal system and you're talking about the obvious destruction of the judicial system, you must understand that without the judicial system having been lost, we wouldn't be where we are right now.
True.
Exactly.
Now, how did the NBA get here?
Fair.
You can thank Babangida for that.
Wow, it goes way back.
Oh yeah, it goes way back.
Please
The
tell
moment
Please
the
tell us.
presidency
So
of the
there's a story
NBA.
there.
Oh yeah.
What's the story?
What happened was that once upon a time, Nigeria did have strong institutions. He is referring to an NBA that now become like an NGO, because once upon a time there was an NBA that held power to account. But by the time Babangida came with his institutionalization of corruption, perversion, impunity, and madness, one of the first things he did was that he started once you became the president of the NBA, it became a shortcut to appointment to the Attorney Generalship of Nigeria. So he started with Clement Akpangbo. I think that must have been in 1985
I wasn't even born then.
It became that successive military dictatorships began to look to the NBA to staff the office of the Attorney General. So the NBA was deliberately targeted, just like every other national institution.
Fair.
Babangida destroyed NANS as a student body.
Yeah,
He was who destroyed NANS. Babangida introduced militant cultism into universities.
Oh, really?
Immediately after the 1988, I think 87, 88 SAP riots.
Yes.
When it became obvious to the military dictators that the schools, especially the universities, were centers of opposition to their tyranny.
So schools were actually oppositions.
Oh yeah. Back
course.
then when students, all these ones that universities have become a place where people go to comply and they're writing application and doing this, those were the hotbed of socialist politics in
That's
Nigeria.
this thing there.
Yeah, those were the hotbed of socialist politics back then. When the National Association of Nigerian Students, let me start with the National Union of Nigerian Students in the 70s. When it called for national strikes, every university in Nigeria, across the length and breadth of Nigeria, UNIMAID,
Really?
ABU,
Students will go on strike.
every last university in Nigeria would shut down. So when student strikes were called, it was always national. Polytechnics, College of Education, everywhere. If you are a student in Nigeria, in any higher institution, colleges of education, everywhere will shut down. What Babangida did was that he began to attack each and every one of those organizations that had the capacity to organize as a resistance against tyranny.
Wow.
Do you understand now? So MBA did not get to where it is today overnight. It was something done over time.
Systematically.
Over time, deliberately, and even after Babangida, it had become state policy. That's why you hear of mobile police invading where they're having NANS convention. You see NANS presidents who have Biabia and Gemu that is larger than my own 50-something-year-old men being National Association of Nigerian Student president. So it's not by accident. It's because government had taken an interest. Nigerian Medical Association, MBA became factionalized because government attacked. So all these institutions, even religion, there is a whole lot that has happened to us as a people, but understand very clearly that we didn't get here by accident. It was by orchestration.
It was a system set to fail, and now they're selling it as some type of system that has a future.
No, this system has no future, and that is what your generation must not buy.
We're not buying it.
Don't buy it. This system has no future. If you stick with this system, for the next 100 years, you will produce what it's producing. You cannot demand that a mango tree should give you apples. No matter how many times you bring manure to that mango tree, you may prune it from now till kingdom come, add fertilizer or you want, fumigate it, mulch it, do whatever, you still get your mango trees. It's not giving you no apples. So this system, it is designed to produce the akpabios. It is designed to produce this is what it is designed to produce, and it is irredeemable. It has no internal capacity for self-reformation. It is putrid, can never be changed, and you have to be diametrically opposed to it to stop it. If not, you are wasting time. It's wasted my own youth. Don't allow it to waste yours. But the way we are right now, our reality is that none of those social constructs applies to us. I read law, but before reading law, I did a fair bit of social sciences as well. And one of the things I learned, I think, is it John Locke and his theory of the evolution of the state? No, the evolution of the state. When he speaks specifically to the thing you just raised, the social contract. The social contract is suggestive of a pact between those who are citizens and the government.
That's what it is.
Do you understand? And then there are ground norms, rules by which the two relate with each other. The Nigerian situation is not rule-based. It's force-based. If it were rule-based, your Sultan of Sokoto will not be calling me and you terrorists. Nnamdi Kanu will not be in a jail cell somewhere and those murdering and rampaging up and down Nigeria. I'll give you... Let me start from 1999. Obasanjo came into office. He was the beneficiary of the struggle for the actualization of June 12. If nothing else, the only reason there was that concession that a Yoruba person should have the ticket was because of Abiola's victory that was denied and his eventual murder in state captivity. But Obasanjo came into office, spent 8 years, and he couldn't even find the grace to immortalize not just Abiola, but all the people that died in that struggle. It's not by accident. It's so that you may not have heroes to look up to. If they would heroify Abiola and then edify the day, the fairest and freest election in the annals of Nigerian history was held on the 12th of June 1993. But they refused, because if they had done that, we will probably be demanding that they took us back to option A4 so that we tried the same system again. But for 8 years, he denied, not just Abiola was denied, all the people who were murdered, who were buried in unmarked graves, none of them were ever remembered. We don't have a Martyrs' Day celebrating all those people
even
who
the June
died.
12, because I remember when I was in
just wait now. So for him to even accept to take June 12 as Democracy Day, he spent 8 years fighting it. Ditto Jonathan. He took a dictator and a redentist like Buhari to come and play politics, by which time the memory of June 12 had been lost to those who should have found June 12 as something to aspire to, even if only the ideals, which bound Nigeria across all our ethnic and religious divide. Nigerians came together and expressed their sovereign will. That must not be celebrated. So you have a country that deliberately undermines the heroification of good things so that you may not have anything to aspire to. I'm coming. In recent days, there was a debate about naming the INEC building after Nwosu, the INEC chairman of that time.
The INEC chairman, yes.
The only reason it could not be accepted in the National Assembly, some idiots, I'm sorry to use that term, believe that it's about the man is Igbo. It had nothing to do with him being Igbo. It's about the fact that the political class cannot afford to have you celebrate a man for conducting good election when you have somebody like Mahmoud still sat in the office of the INEC chairman.
I agree.
He sat there, has conducted, I believe, another 5 disreputable gubernatorial elections since the last election, and he still sat there. And you think they would let you celebrate Anunwosu? So all these things that you are saying, they are not by accident. If you don't have people to live up to, if you don't have ideals that can inspire you, if all you see all around you are thieves being celebrated, you see plain crooks sat on thrones, you see persons that you all know, the entire society knows that this person is a crook, is a thief, a ne'er-do-well, and that is the person your society is celebrating. How can you now aspire to any high ideal?
What would be the processes to doing that, sir?
Draw
now
the
you just
line.
asked the question I wanted
Start
to ask.
it with the electoral reform. It pretends to be a democracy. It pretends to be a state ruled by law. They say you are citizens. Force them to have to decide whether you are those things or not.
So you held us, we are not citizens, rather we are a collective now. Let's tell me.
I didn't say you are a
You
collective.
said you have
I
two
never said you are a
questions.
collective.
You said you have 2 questions. Now you're just cheating. Nah.
No, wait, hold on.
Hold on.
I don't know. Did you
Wait.
put in somewhere?
Last
Wait, hold
one,
on.
last
I'm
one.
not going to
Let
give you
me
that
finish
last
my
one.
last one.
I won't give you that last one. I won't give you that because it's almost like you were waiting for Dele Farotimi to come.
Last
So you
one.
just,
Yeah, you know,
so
like,
you just hold him.
Definitely,
and just
it was what it is. Exactly why I didn't submit my
ask.
question to you. So
And
this
ask,
last one,
but-
basically, right?
But there was something he said.
Yeah.
And that the Yoruba, you mentioned something. And in recent times, first of all, let's start with Pa Adebanjo, because I feel like we can't have this conversation without him. May he so rest in peace.
Amen.
Awesome man. Is there any other word I can use for awesome? He's just like, when you think, now that's a hero. That's somebody that we should name his streets and estates. Something after.
There's actually an Adebanjo drive in
See,
Lekki.
not just one. See,
Was it named after him?
Close.
every
Close,
single
okay.
name he has, we should just keep naming it like that, like that. Let's just duplicate his legacy. And you said something. Remember, I told you that. Remember, I told you that I said I wanted to join Afenifere.
Yeah.
Remember, I did say that. But you said something on the day of the symposium. You said that Afenifere is not just for Yorubas; it's made for all. And the internet went
Crazy.
mad.
Yes.
They were like,
They wanted to tear you
"Anywhere
apart."
we see this man, it's on site. The internet went ballistic. If we see this man or anybody that looks like him, it's on site. Now, what is the thought process behind that?
You see, I've always enjoyed shocking idiots. When people take positions unsupported by truth, and then they build their monuments on top of that lie, there is nothing that gives me greater pleasure than taking bazookas to those lies that they had built over the years. So, for a long time, a lot of Yoruba Ronu, Yoruba Ponu people, the Tinubu-inspired renegades have come around and they've been talking about how Afenifere is a socio-cultural organization for the interest, for the advancement of the interest of the Yorubas. And they appropriated the goodly heritage of Afenifere in pursuit of their nefarious agenda of bigotry and all kind of evil practices. And those of us who have, it's almost impossible to be a Yoruba child in my generation and not grow up venerating Awolowo. We were inheritors of his mantle. We took the benefit of the vision with which he governed the space in which we were born. I went to secondary school in my mother's village. The school I went to, Fidelity Grammar School, I say it proudly anywhere, it is better than any of the private schools that you have in this Lagos today. My children went to some of the best private schools in Lagos, but my secondary school in my mother's village had superior infrastructure, better teachers, and it was completely free in a Nigeria that wasn't even anywhere near as rich as the one we are in today.
Yes.
So I grew up knowing that when government cares, when a system is built for the advancement of society, everybody benefits. So by the time I grew up into my adulthood, I gravitated towards every party that had the imprimatur of Obafemi Awolowo. So I was an AD person, and I was familiar with everything that happened in the lead up to the registration of the AD. And I'd been in Afenifere effectively since 1998.
Okay.
So when people come around and say that Afenifere is a Yoruba construct, I like, Please tell me, is it the same Afenifere that Awolowo set up in 1951 that clearly was the action group, and Afenifere was merely the way the Yorubas related to it because of his egalitarian policies? Okay. Afenifere, the person who wants the good, the same good he wants for himself, he wants it for his neighbor.
Peter Obi has multiple occasions publicly declare intention to pursue illegal action in response to damaging claim or leak content. For instance, he threatened to sue the app that released an alleged phone conversation between him and Pastor Adedepo, asserting that the voice in the recording was not his. Similarly, in the case involving Deji, Obi denied attempting to bribe him, despite Adeyanju repeating publicly accusation and insult. Yet, in both instances, Obi has not followed through with illegal proceeding, raising question about the consistency and credibility of his response. This pattern has led to speculation. Is he avoiding court action to prevent further things that we don't know, or potential release of sensitive information, or his strategic decision to avoid escalating public drama? You want people to answer you that question. Wait, watch this video to the end. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next video. Remain blessed and stay blessed.
Every document you see coming back from 1951 during the days of the action group, you see the Afenifere action group clearly written on it. And when the military came and they banned politics and they banned political parties,
that was in 66.
That was in 1966. The only way Awolowo and his political family could keep meeting without contravening the law was to pretend that it was a socio-cultural collective. Yes, so that was the root.
Now that's something I didn't even know about.
That was the root of the lie. Now, understand that because it was convenient at that time, and remember that even though Afenifere, the action group, was the opposition in Eastern Regional Assembly, where SG Koku Gumsu defeated his father and became the leader of opposition in the Eastern Regional Assembly, how can the same party that was the opposition party in the Regional Assembly in the East, was the opposition party in the Regional Assembly in the North, was the opposition party in the Federal House of Representatives, now be deemed to be a socio-cultural collective? In the days of the military, when there was a ban on politics, it was convenient to hide behind that, and we hid behind that. When the ban on politics was lifted in 1978, the same Afenifere transmuted and became the Unity Party of Nigeria. And there was people like MCK Ajuluchukwu, there was Gomwok, there were people across the length and breadth of Nigeria. Chief Philip Umeadi was Chief Awolowo's running mate.
Chief Okotiebo too was part of the...
Thankfully, Chief Okotiebo was in NCNC. But we had people like Igodaro, who was the treasurer of the action group. The founding treasurer was Igodaro. Okoro Dudu was the founding legal advisor. Sule Maito was there in northern Nigeria. So when I came out to say that, look, Afenifere is not an exclusive club for Yoruba. Yes, this misunderstanding has persisted, sometimes due to our own fault, because when it was convenient for us to hide and pretend that we were a socio-cultural club, we did. But in this season, faced with the kind of situation Nigeria is dealing with today, we cannot continue to hide within a tribal conclave, hide behind an ethnic identity, when we are essentially an ideological found group. And with this ideology is shared across the length and breadth of Nigeria, it is time to build bridges. If you are going to build bridges, you have to build these bridges with ideas. We have ideas that we've been governed by for the last 74 years. If those ideas have endured for 74 years, isn't it time we took it out of where it's been hidden and then bring it for the Nigerian people? Say, look, these are the ideas we believe should be governing Nigeria. If those ideas resonate with you, whatever translates into egalitarian or a do-gooder, somebody who wants good for everybody in your neighborhood, coin the phrase. Be calling your collective that in your place. It's not a Yoruba exclusive club. It's a club for people who want good for all. So if you are Hausa, find the name they call Afenifere or something in that translates into that. If you are Igbo, find the name.
Fantastic. Let me take you back, sir. Because I know now you are the organizing secretary of Afenifere.
Yes, I am.
But I'd like to take you back to 98 because I know growing up in Ebute Metta, we used to have, people who were members of Afenifere and they were leaders. Also, we know, at least from history, that the Afenifere formed a political bloc in building Lagos, so to speak. When I say political bloc, I mean the AD, right?
Yeah.
In 1999. So, the emergence of
Bola
Tinubu
Yeah.
In 1999.
Blame it on us.
Yes. So, of course, I'm going to go there.
Wow.
I'm going to go there. But I think, hold on. Yeah. Well, so I think that happened. And then to cushion that effect, I think from the history I know, but you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Please.
I think the Afenifere had to put in Senator Kofora Bokno to, in quotes, to check, their mistake. Their mistake, so to speak. The effect of the mistake, right? So, my question here is that the Afenifere was a power bloc. It is no longer a powerful political bloc. Is this because of the rise of Bola Tinubu? Did Bola Tinubu destroy the Afenifere? Because I can tell you that, at least from my own history, we used to have the likes of Bola Ige, right? Who was a very strong member of the Afenifere. I think, what's his name again? Ibrahim Adesoya, right? He was also a very big, member of that power bloc. And these were the people who would say, quote unquote, just quote me, I'm the one saying it, Ubong, this person, would like this person to be a governor of the state, would like this person to be, But then we saw that after the emergence of Tinubu, somehow the Afenifere fell. Two questions. Was he the reason why the Afenifere fell? Second question is there a faction right now in Afenifere? Because in 2023, we had one side where the Afenifere had endorsed Peter Obi, and then we had another side that came out to say, oh, sorry,
no, that's a mistake.
We are lifting the hand of another person, So those are the two questions I want to ask.
Okay. You've packed a lot into two questions. So you give me some time. I'll try without wasting too much time to explain this. Bola Ahmed Tinubu postured as a NADECO member.
Fair.
And he did go into exile with those who fled into exile. And you would have heard someone like Professor Shoyinka waxing lyrical about how much he did during those days. People evolve. When he got back into Nigeria after the death of Abacha, there weren't enough people who knew enough about his past antecedent. All they knew was that he retired from Mobile, became a senator. He wasn't a member of Afenifere prior to that time.
He wasn't?
No, he was not.
Okay,
that's
new information.
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
He only became aligned with Afenifere during his years in exile.
Okay.
Because there were other members of Afenifere who were also in exile, and he worked with them, and that was where he gained the support and prominence he gained from amongst them.
Good.
So by the time they came back into Nigeria, remember, it was a short window.
Yes. 98.
It was a very short transition window. And on the back of the euphoria of NADECO, freedom fighting, he won the primary, even though there were underhand tactics.
I heard Wahab Dosumu won that primary. or even Fushov win.
There was a rule that was made before the primary that anywhere there was any violence, the result will be cancelled.
Okay.
The legend is that Tinubu ensured that Funshaw stronghold, I believe that was Ikorodu and Lagos mainland.
Yeah.
Surulere.
I think mainland, Lagos mainland and Ikorodu, which were Funshaw Williams stronghold, was the votes were disrupted. So by the time you remove the votes from that side, you'll find that Tinubu won, quote and unquote. So he did win.
Okay.
Now, where I believe an error was made by Afenifere, and remember, we were much younger back then.
True.
But my own belief, and we should be willing to own up to our errors. I believe the error Afenifere made in that time was not to have aligned with Gani Fawehinmi when Gani Fawehinmi raised the issue of Tinubu's criminality. Afenifere should have taken the principled position of aligning with the truth. So that is the error that I believe we made historically, and that error has come to bite us multiple times. Because what has happened is that by the time Afenifere sought to assert party supremacy
Okay.
to try and get Tinubu, to work with his deputy, Senator Kofo Akerele-Bokno,
Yes.
and to also implement the party's policies. It became too big for the party to control
At that point.
and it declared war effectively on Afenifere.
Good.
Tinubu was essentially responsible for chasing Afenifere out of his national secretariat
Now we're talking.
at Jibowu.
Now we're
So
talking.
let's be clear that the man rode on the back of Afenifere's general acceptance and credibility amongst the people of the Southwest,
Yes.
where Afenifere governed as AG, and where over time they had found the credibility to be trusted.
Yes. True.
But he got into power in 1999. By 2002, he had fallen out with the leaders
Senator,
of the party, and he was already in full-blown war mode against
Wow.
all the party leaders. So what you have is a situation where, when it was convenient, certain other forces aligned with him to destroy Afenifere. When I say destroy Afenifere, what they did was that they destroyed the political platforms by which the party could engage with the electorate.
Right.
So no matter how many ideas you might have, when you have a democracy
So there was
that
equally a communication barrier somewhere.
if there was no communication barrier, the Nigerian press is not as free as we sometimes imagine. Up until today, even you, who should be the conscious layer, is still talking about faction in Afenifere. We don't have any faction in Afenifere. We have renegades.
Okay.
People who prefer to belittle Afenifere and take it from the political movement that it is and reduce it to a socio-cultural organization so that it would advance the interest of a particular individual.
Fair.
Do you understand?
I get it now.
Afenifere is not in doubt as to exactly what his identity is. In the lead up to the 2023 election, long before there was a Peter Obi, there had been critical in-house brainstorming. And Afenifere had agreed in-house and influenced the Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum to agree that the next president of Nigeria should come from the Southeast. For the simple reason of equity and justice. Not because we really like the idea of zoning, but because that is what Nigeria has become, and the equity of the situation demanded that we should support a candidate of Southeast extraction. So as far back as around 2021, we had begun moves. There was no Peter Obi at this time. I had never met him one-on-one, and I didn't meet him until 2022. I didn't meet him until 2022. So it wasn't like we set out that it must be Peter Obi. We knew we weren't going to support a coup. But we were already convinced that whoever we were supporting would have to be a person of Southeast extraction. We took this to our general meeting. It was agreed. We took this to the national caucus. It was agreed. Every organ of Afenifere agreed this. But by the time this had been communicated, the same man who could manufacture fake bishops, who had no problem going to the same Akure to ask where the cows were, went back to the same Akure, and he found willing renegades to be purchased, who now began to give the impression that there is another Afenifere somewhere in Akure. Chief Fasoroti was our leader. He resigned on account of old age. There is a letter. He resigned. How can a man who has resigned reconstitute another Afenifere in his own sitting room in Akure? The immediate past National Organizing Secretary of Afenifere, Omololu, Koli Omololu, we expelled him at our general meeting. He's been expelled. Jari Ajayi, who was our publicity secretary, he was expelled. These two were expelled in the general meeting, but they still go around parading themselves as officers of Afenifere. We are not a socio-cultural club. They have also made clear that they are not a political movement. So we have a bunch of renegades sat somewhere in Akure who have made clear that they are not a political movement. They are a cheerleaders club for Tinubu, and they are doing his bidding, but we don't have to react.
So as it is, Afenifere has no faction.
We don't have any faction. And it's not by accident that we've survived for 74 years. It's not by accident.
Because everything has a faction.
Found on truth.
Well, this one doesn't have.
We don't have a faction.
All right, thank you so
much. There are people who love our brand sufficiently to be stealing our name. It doesn't. No, but that's just the reality. If I call myself a Chinese, does that make me a Chinese man? No. Exactly.
I understand.
Not at all. Okay, so let's talk about. Let's shift from Afenifere to your friend, Mr. Showore. Mr. Showore, stand-up guy, activist, well known in the country. if he says he stands here, we know where he stands. But then, over time, especially in recent times, some people have now, because of the way he tackles the opposition also, or P2B, on the media space, some people now are now calling him that he's a controlled opposition. Do you believe in that? What do you...
I don't tell a man how to fight his battles. I don't prescribe,
of course,
to anyone. Yele is Yele.
Yes.
If Yele believes that he has found a reason to criticize something that Peter Obi has done, he's within his right to do so.
Yes.
Nobody can prescribe who he may or may not criticize. At the end of the day, the people will decide
for themselves.
Exactly. But to be demonized on account of the fact that he's criticizing the person that we prefer that he should not criticize, I'm not going to demonize anyone for that. Exactly. He is within his right to decide who his friends are and who his enemies are. If he has found any reason for which to criticize Peter Obi, he's only helping the man. If he criticizes the man and the man finds something to learn from the criticism, I imagine that...
I mean, him himself, Obi, has always been sort of open to criticism.
Exactly. So.
And even with the fact that Showore criticizes him, it's almost like that thing in the news where they say there's no such thing as good or bad publicity. It's just publicity at the end of the day.
That's it.
And in the ways, I was even making Showore a bit more popular in his own right. But anyways, let's cool this down a bit.
Okay.
A lot of people still misunderstand the historical significance of that day. June 12 wasn't just any day. It was a day when everything that should go wrong went right.
Okay.
Babangida didn't want to go. He was looking for something to just go wrong. Yes. June 12, that's smack bang in the middle of the rainy season. But the heavens were perfect. Everything went as it should. We voted without any incident across the length and breadth of this country. It was my first time of voting.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was my very first time of voting. Everything went the way it should. But the ruiners of Nigeria were sufficiently scared of the capacity of the Nigerian to vote the way they wanted.
Yes.
So they don't. That's why I keep saying that there are parallels between 2023 and 1993. It is always about Nigeria snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Every time we're just about to break forth, almost as if the birth attendants are murderers. Just when the baby is crowning, about to come out, they murder it each time. So what they did in 1993, they repeated in 2023. So if there was ever any particular day, it's not about colonialism. Colonialism wasn't on us. But this one is completely on us.
Okay. Right.
That's why I kept saying that at some point we are going to have to draw a line. Because the greatest problem we have, the easiest diagnosis of our problem is the loss of citizenship.
I have a last question before you go, because I know you would have to go very soon. My question is that you've talked about us drawing the line. You know, you said we must wake up. You know, from that we are sleeping and we must wake up. Citizens must wake up, so to speak. My question is, do you think that before we wake up, the military will take over?
No, please.
Okay, hold on. I'm coming. No, because as things keep going, right?
Sorry, no vex. Just perish the thought.
Okay, perish. Okay.
In the first place, you don't have a military.
Okay.
You can't have a military in a place where bandits, terrorists are running roughshod up and down the place, murdering people. The one that just happened, how far is
the military base from there?
Barracks. I think it's Rukuba.
Yeah.
How far is Rukuba from that place?
From Basel.
And they operated for over 2 hours. Not without any interference. It's only after the terrorists have left and you're calling those ones military.
I have a theory.
It's no longer a theory. It's no longer a theory. The reality is that the Nigerian state and its military are complicit in the mess that is happening across the land. It's not a theory any longer.
Let me rephrase.
No, don't call it a theory any longer.
Anytime these citizens, they want to sort of take arms and fight.
That's where we see the military.
The military will come
before the terrorists would come. The Nigerian military would come and disarm local population first. Yeah. They would disarm the local population.
Oh, not true.
In fact, what my friends in the Middle Belt have told me is that they have learned that once the military come around searching house to house to disarm local population, even take their ding guns, they know that the Fulanis are coming behind. That is the level of complicity that you have.
Well, then, I've been
Look,
vindicated.
It's not just you. Somebody came to national TV, Commodore Lawumi. You don't see spooks, military spooks. You don't have spies. You don't see them in daytime. That's not somebody you find on national TV. But the man was sufficiently alarmed by our security circumstances that he sat down in the TV channel, at the TV station of channels, and he said it on national TV that there are Boko Haram sponsors sat in the president's cabinet, and he had submitted a list of these persons to the president since 2016 and nothing had happened. And we are still talking about a suspicion. It's no longer suspicion. Kawu Baraje came out in 2022, I think. It was his 70th birthday. And he came out and he told everybody who cared to listen that they were the ones who imported Fulani terrorists into Nigeria in the lead up to the 2015 election. And that they harmed these persons that they had brought into Nigeria from 5 different Sahelian countries. He said so. He's on record. Look, my friend, Dr. Stanley Kavman, is the National Public Secretary of the Middle Belt Forum. He was, I think, on Arise the other day, where he said categorically, and he wasn't the first to say it, that there is a base, a militant base, terrorist base in the tri-state area, Nasarawa, Benue, and Plateau. That base is known to each and every one of our security services. That base is sometimes reinforced and resupplied by helicopters.
In this country?
In this country. And nothing has ever happened.
I don't know why.
So we're no longer.
Don't
Let's be talking about. It's no longer about suspicion. It's not a theory.
It's not
the
reality.
fact. We should be able to call it what it is. The fact is that the Nigerian state has turned against its own citizen and is facilitating murder.
Right.
All right. So what do we call this sort of murder? Like, is it anything linked to jihadism or the jihadist movement or interest?
I think is that if it waddles like a duck,
It's
called a duck.
quacks like a duck,
It's a duck.
looks like a duck.
It's a duck.
Because if I remember rightly,
D-U-C-K.
somebody was just telling me recently that those of us who are calling attention to the madness are terrorists.
Yes.
So who then is the real terrorist? Is that the theory?
Maybe we should ask
Maybe
the person
you.
who has called me and you.
knows.
This is the expert in this.